I guess many of my viewers will have twigged by now that I've got a bit of a soft spot for Tiger Cubs, and I've got plenty of footage among my videos and playlists of my antics on 3 of them at least. I've got 3 that are actually sort of usually legally on the road and ready to go, and I've got a few more that will run but need various other things doing to them, although they're mechanically sound. For this is one that might have been spotted as I sort of go backwards and forwards through the workshop making some of my videos on occasion, and it might have got people wondering what's that and whether anyone's going to do anything with it. Well, the answer is yes, but unfortunately, being one of my own bikes, it sort of has to play second fiddle to a lot of customer bikes. But I'm actually going through a rare quiet period of a few days, so I thought, well, I better get something done. What shall I do? And I know, I'll order some spokes, because I had a wheel rim and a hub. I'll order some spokes and I'll build a front wheel for this one, and then subject to a tyre which should be arriving later today, I might actually be able to get this thing off the bike lift if I want to and wheel it around. I've also fitted at least a temporary set of handlebars as well, and I thought, well, bit by bit I'm probably going to try and get a few hours in here and there on this one, and perhaps, who knows, finish the job off at some point. But this one, I actually bought this, must be 42 years ago I guess. I was 17 years old when I bought this, for £140, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. It had a crap engine in it. The guy, he was a bit of a cowboy, and he'd nailed this thing together and basically took advantage of a young lad who loved Tiger Cubs, and I bought it probably for far too much money. It was probably worth every penny of about 70 or 80 quid, but he got 140 out of me. And it turned out that not only was the engine knackered, but the frame was bent and twisted as well. It even had, now Tiger Cub people will probably know that the road going Cubs had shorter rear shock absorbers. I don't know how much of that you're likely to see. It's a bit dark in here, sorry, and I haven't got my head torch to hand, but the ordinary road Cubs had shorter rear shock absorbers than the sports types. Probably different in length by a good inch and a half perhaps. Well, this one had one of each. How the hell they managed to compress, they must have had someone fat sitting on the bike to get the short one on, I don't know, but anyway, they managed it. The frame was so badly bent and twisted that the petrol tank, not this one, the petrol tank that was on it was a Cub one, but it's long gone, actually fastened where the nose of the seat should fasten, and vice versa, because the headstock had moved enough that you couldn't get the bolts in where they should have originally gone. And not only was it bent, I think we had this down tube was sort of curved back towards the head and barrel, and this one here was humped, if I remember. But also, if you got the frame stood level and hung a string line, you'd find that the headstock was skew-iff as well. And I'd almost got to the point where I wrote the bike off as a, well, not wrote it off, but just gave up on it as a hopeless case, really. It also, when I bought it, the electrics weren't charging. I remember it had a headlamp on it then. I'm not going to use one now, but I popped the headlamp rim off to have a look at all the wiring in there, and it had one of those big Lucas PRS8 switches with all the wires and terminals and everything, and I popped the headlamp out, and surprise, surprise, every single wire in there and on the rest of the bike, they were all red. Brilliant job, I thought. Anyway, with an engine transplant, I took an engine out of a tired field bike. This bike actually racked up 18,000 miles for me in one year before I lent it to a friend who put a similar mileage on it in the next. And then after that, it was just discarded. Bits and pieces were taken off it. It was actually a Sports Cub. I think I robbed the subframe for my blue and white Trials Sports Cub replica. A few other bits and pieces, and the rest of it was just chucked in the shed out the back, left to rot. And in more recent years, I sort of thought, well, I've got a logbook for that. Logbook frames with logbooks, they're not an everyday find anymore. I wonder if I can do something with it. So I fired up the trusty gas torch, and I had the frame clamped by its lower tube in a vise, and had various levers and things available to hand, and I heated the various bent areas of the frame up red hot, and I managed to unbend it and untwist it. So then I thought, right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build a Sports Cub, or Sports Cub replica, something loosely based on a Sports Cub. Here's a bit of light, look. And I had an engine already rebuilt by me quite some years previous, a late square head, square barrel, side points engine, which I built with the 9-to-1 piston, the R camshaft, and the close ratio gearbox. So full-blown Sports Cub spec engine in there, and basically I got the bones of a nice budding Sports Cub. But of course, work on other people's bikes got in the way, and it sat on this bike lift for, I think the last notes I've got of working on it were from 2016, 2017, and it's just sat there ever since gathering dust until I sorted out this front wheel the other day. And like I say, I've got a tyre coming for it as well, hopefully today. So that has given me the sort of impetus to crack on with it and get a bit done with it, because basically the engine is ready to go. I just need to sort of connect up the various fuel, oil and electricals, and that would run. And we're not too far off with the bike. So this one, I'm probably going to dedicate a playlist to it. It may be quite a while between instalments, obviously, because I've got to earn my bread and butter working on other people's machines. But I'm going to try harder to try and do a little bit with this one here and there, and hopefully get my 8th running Tiger Cub back in action, and maybe even we'll get to have some rides on it, because like I say, it's fully sort of legal and logbooked, and it's got legible numbers on the frame that match the logbook and everything else. So this one, when it is completed, should be able to go out and about. One thing I'm going to do though, I'll be having the back wheel off soon to put some guts into that brake plate because it's empty, or another brake plate perhaps. I'm going to get that, I put a 58 tooth rear sprocket on there, and my Trials Cub replica, which has a 54, and I know I fitted a 17 tooth gearbox sprocket on there, the same as my Trials Cub replica. That's as low geared as I'd like it to be, so I think the 58 would be murder. We'd just be revving the nuts off it to go nowhere, and I don't want to be doing that. So I'm going to go down to a 54. I might even go smaller, who knows, because we've got the high compression engine, the R cam, the close ratio gears. Perhaps I should aim to make this a quick one. But hopefully it won't be too long before I'll have a little bit more to update everybody with this one. Let's watch this space, both me and anybody else who's interested, and see if I can make some more progress with it fairly soon.